Hi there, fellow travelers. Welcome aboard TravelVibes, where seasoned insight meets real-world travel wisdom. If you're someone planning your first cruise, dreaming about your next, or simply curious about making smarter choices at sea, you're in the right place. Maybe you're in your 30s, building a travel bucket list. Or you're a midlife adventurer chasing new experiences before retirement. Or perhaps you're already retired and ready to explore the world slowly, meaningfully, and on your terms. Whatever stage of life you're in, one thing's certain: cruising calls to the explorer in all of us. Now, if you've ever said, if I cruise, I'm going big, with a balcony and all the views, trust me, I once said the same, until something unexpected changed how I travel, for good. Stick around, and I'll share what years of cruising have taught me about a little-known choice that just might change the way you sail too. And hey, before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to TravelVibes so you never miss the tips that make your voyages smoother, cheaper, and way more meaningful. Part 1. What you really get when you don't pay for a window. Alright, let's talk money. Not in a stuffy accountant kind of way, but in a more ice cream and souvenir money kind of way. Because here's the not-so-secret secret. Interior cabins are cheaper. Like, sometimes way cheaper. We're talking hundreds, even thousands of dollars saved per trip. And no, that's not just spare change for bingo night. That's real money that can turn a one-time cruise into a yearly tradition. I once booked an interior cabin for a 12-night Mediterranean cruise and ended up spending less than my friend who chose a balcony for just 7 nights. Want to guess who got to visit Greece and Spain that year? We both watched the same sunsets, just from the deck instead of behind glass. We ate the same food, laughed at the same shows, danced on the same floor. Only difference? She had a breeze with her morning coffee, and I had enough left over to treat myself to a hot stone massage and a private walking tour in Florence. For folks in the US, especially those who are retired, working flexible jobs, digital nomads, or young families cruising on a budget, this matters. Why burn through your travel funds on 4 walls when the whole ocean is just steps away? Trust me, financial freedom feels a lot better than filtered sunlight. And sometimes, less really is more. Part 2. The best view isn't in your cabin, it's in your journey. Now let's tackle the biggest myth in cruising, this idea that if your room doesn't have a window, you're somehow missing the magic. Trust me, I've been there. The first time I booked an interior cabin, I braced myself for feelings of being boxed in. But guess what? I actually felt freer. No distractions. No staring out the window trying to spot dolphins like a full-time marine biologist. Just me, waking up, stretching, and heading out to live the day. And that's the thing. Most of us, especially travelers in the US, juggling packed itineraries, shore excursions, and endless photo ops, spend very little time in our rooms. The real view? It's on the top deck at sunrise, coffee in hand, wrapped in a blanket you smuggled from the pool. It's in the laughter of new friends over lunch, where the ocean plays backdrop to conversations you didn't expect to have. When you cruise for the experience, not the image, you realize something simple and freeing. You don't need a balcony to see the world. You just need the right mindset and maybe a little sunscreen. Part 3. Why pitch-black cabins might be the best spa you never booked. Here's something nobody tells you when you're comparing cruise cabins online. The best sleep of your life might just come from a room with no windows at all. Sounds odd, I know, but stay with me. If you've ever tossed and turned because the streetlights outside your hotel room blinked like disco balls, or been jolted awake by sunrise when you were hoping to sleep till 9, then interior cabins are your dream come true. Literally. They're like little cocoons of silence and darkness. No light leaks, no seagull shadows flapping across the ceiling, just stillness, just sleep. And if you're anything like many US travelers, older adults with shifting sleep cycles, stressed out professionals trying to unplug, or even young parents hoping to sneak in a nap, you'll be amazed at what 8 solid hours of uninterrupted rest at sea can do for your body and mind. I've had better sleep in a pitch-black interior cabin than in any luxury hotel suite on land. It's like nature's melatonin, gently rocking you to sleep with the rhythm of the waves. No ocean view can compete with that. Part 4, Cozy Cabins Clear Minds, Why Less Room Brings More Joy. Let's be honest, interior cabins aren't exactly sprawling suites. You won't be hosting dance parties in there. But maybe that's a good thing. Because here's what I've learned after years of cruising. Having less space means you travel lighter, not just with your luggage but with your mindset. Your shoes go in one corner. Your sun hat fits right above the closet. Your e-reader and evening meds slide neatly into the drawer next to your bed. There's no temptation to overpack. No need to bring 5 pairs of sandals just in case. The space gently encourages you to make thoughtful choices. And as any experienced traveler in the US will tell you, especially those who are downsizing, RVing, or simplifying their lifestyle, it's freeing. No mess, no clutter. Just what you need, and nothing more. I call it intentional cruising. It's like a tiny vacation from your stuff, too. You stop fussing over outfits and start focusing on sunsets. You spend less time tidying and more time living. And honestly, that tiny cabin becomes your personal sanctuary. Part 5, More Than a Cabin. How interior rooms bring you closer to the heart of the ship. Now here's a little twist you might not expect. While balcony cabins give you space to sit alone with your thoughts, interior cabins, they tend to lead you right into the lively rhythm of cruise life. And that's where the magic happens. I can't count how many fascinating people I've met on ships, over morning coffee in the buffet, while watching a crew talent show, or during a heated debate at trivia night. Folks from Texas, Florida, New York, retirees, newlyweds, even a guy who built his own kayak out of recycled milk jugs. Yes, really. Interior cabins seem to encourage something we often forget in our busy lives back home: connection. When you're not hiding away on your private balcony, you're more likely to join the dance class, linger in the piano bar, or strike up a conversation with someone watching the sunset beside you. For solo cruisers, older adults, or anyone craving community after years of social distancing, this small nudge out the door can lead to big moments of joy. Sometimes, the less room you have behind your door, the more open you become outside of it. Part 6, Where the Savings Really Go. Spoiler alert, it's not just snacks and souvenirs. Let's talk about what really happens when you book an interior cabin instead of that fancy balcony. You don't just save money, you unlock possibilities. All those dollars you didn't spend on a view you'll barely use, they suddenly become tools for a better trip. For me, it meant saying yes to a private guide in Santorini instead of getting herded off a crowded bus. It meant tipping the amazing staff who remembered my name and my weird tea order. It meant upgrading to that once-in-a-lifetime glacier tour in Alaska I normally would have skipped. If you're cruising from the US, especially with kids, grandkids, or a partner who loves to try every activity on board, those savings stretch further than you think. One year, I used the difference to book a second cruise 6 months later. Another time, I treated myself to travel insurance that actually came in handy when my suitcase went rogue in Rome. So no, interior cabins don't mean giving up luxury. They just help you spend on the experiences that matter. And that, my friend, is a first-class decision in every sense. Part 7, The Cabin That Healed Me, a story from the inside out. Let me share something a bit more personal. A few years back, I booked a cruise alone for the very first time. It wasn't a bucket list trip or a celebratory getaway. I had just lost my husband the year before. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I was ready to travel again, let alone by myself. I chose an interior cabin, not because I read a blog or watched a video. I chose it because it felt safe. No big view to remind me of the empty chair beside me. Just 4 quiet walls, a bed, and a little desk that became my world for 7 days. That room? It held me. I cried quietly my first night at sea. I laughed out loud the next afternoon watching reruns of Golden Girls while wrapped in a pool towel. I even rolled out a travel yoga mat and stretched in the little space between the bed and the wall. Not exactly a spa suite, but it worked. Each day I stepped out of that tiny, windowless cabin with a little more strength. By day 5, I was chatting with a retired nurse from Michigan over lunch. By day 7, I had signed up for a group cruise the following spring. That room didn't show me the ocean, but it showed me something else: resilience. And you don't need a balcony for that. Part 8. It's not about the window, it's about where you sleep. Here's a little secret that seasoned cruisers know, but new travelers often miss. It's not the window that makes or breaks your cabin experience. It's the location. Think about it. If you're someone cruising from the US for the first time, maybe prone to seasickness or bringing your grandkids along, the spot you choose can change everything. Interior cabins tucked midship and on lower decks, they tend to feel the least motion. That's gold if your stomach gets queasy at the first sign of a swell. If mobility matters, try one near the elevators. Easy access without a marathon to dinner every night. Want real peace and quiet? Avoid the ones under the pool deck or beside the karaoke lounge. Unless you're okay hearing Sweet Caroline echo through your walls at 11 p.m. The best part? These location perks don't cost extra like a balcony might. Just a bit of planning and a polite request when booking. And if you're still craving a view, some ships now offer virtual balconies, screens that mimic real ones. It's cool, it's quirky. But the real view? It's still out there, waiting just beyond your cabin door. Part 9. What you're really gaining when you don't chase the view. Let's get one thing straight. Just because you don't have a balcony doesn't mean you're missing out. Cruise brochures will try to convince you otherwise. So will those glossy YouTube videos with drone shots and champagne on private verandas. But that's not the whole story. That's advertising. Real travel? It's messier, more personal, and a lot more fun when you stop trying to impress anyone but yourself. If you're a US traveler looking for meaningful getaways, maybe you're downsizing, maybe you're a solo explorer, or maybe you're a couple finally celebrating that 25th anniversary trip, what you really want is freedom. Not just from overpacking or overspending, but from the pressure to make every trip Instagram perfect. I've felt the wind in my hair without ever stepping onto a balcony. I've had deep belly laughs over buffet dinners. I've danced under the stars in my sneakers, not designer sandals. So the next time you feel that little tug saying, "Should I upgrade?" just remember, you're not missing out if you're already living fully. And honestly, no one writes postcards about how nice their carpet was. Part 10. Who really wins with interior cabins? Hint, it might be you. So, who are these magical windowless rooms really made for? Well, if you're a first-time cruiser, maybe someone in Florida or California just dipping a toe into ocean travel, an interior cabin is your no-pressure way to test the waters without draining your savings. If you're retired or semi-retired and watching your budget like a hawk, because, let's face it, Social Security doesn't cover champagne at sea, then these cabins let you travel more for less and still sleep like royalty. Maybe you're a grandparent from the Midwest treating your grandkids to their first cruise. You don't need a balcony. You need a safe, affordable space where bedtime is quiet and the excitement happens outside the room. And for all you solo travelers out there, the ones chasing sunsets and solitude, interior cabins are cozy little nests that let you rest privately while nudging you into the vibrant social life just beyond the hallway. Oh, and let's not forget the seasoned cruisers, the ones who've already had the ocean view and realized the real treasure was never in the window. So, who are interior cabins for? Maybe they're for people like you. People who travel not for the picture, but for the feeling. So, why do I still choose those quiet, windowless cabins? Because they've taught me that travel isn't about how big your room is. It's about how open your heart is. It's about slowing down, waking up gently, and realizing that the best views aren't always through glass. Sometimes they're through connection, clarity, and joy. In that small space, I've discovered big things. I've laughed, healed, dreamed, and rested deeper than I ever did in suites twice the size. So, if you're standing at the edge of your next cruise decision, wondering if an interior room will be enough, let me reassure you, it will be more than enough. It will surprise you in all the right ways. because sometimes what looks like less gives you more than you ever expected. Thanks for joining me here on Travel Vibes. If this helped shift your perspective or sparked a new travel idea, go ahead and tap that like button, subscribe for more down-to-earth cruise wisdom, and share your own interior cabin story below. I'd love to hear it. Until next time, stay curious, cruise wisely, and I'll see you out there, just beyond the hallway, where the real adventure begins.